Okay, we are going live right now on the Mobile Mailbox Money channel today, brought to you by Silvercrest Opportunity Fund. Join the Mastermind. Link's actually below. Let's see if I can't do this correctly. Here, sharing screen. Or wait, give me one moment here.
So, Jason, I did talk to an attorney friend of mine. He actually used to work for me in a previous company, and he's a licensed attorney in Atlanta, Georgia. And he's going to be seeking out other mortgage professionals to see who would be interested, but his conversation came with a lot of warning disclaimers because it's Consumer Federal Protection Act stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Just so you're aware, we are sharing our program already live this morning, actually through StreamYard. So appreciate you guys being here today. We'll talk about a little bit more in depth about the business process, but shout out to StreamYard this morning. We're actually streaming live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So we appreciate kind of the couple new people that are in here today. I'm Alden Guajardo. Today is brought to you by Silvercrest Opportunity Fund. That's our 506C Reg D official offering today. And mobilemailboxmoney.com, you can buy a note, actually start cash flowing in as little as a 30-day program. We got a couple people trickling in here. We appreciate each and every one of you being here today. This is every week, once a week on Thursday at 12 o'clock Pacific time, where we help capital investors start cash flowing in as little as a 30-day program, whether non-accredited, buying one note from one investor and placing that within their portfolio. They own that whole position for the 20-year term and amortization schedule on our manufactured housing at a double-digit interest rate, or we hypothecate that note. For those of you that don't know what hypothecation is, that means to pledge an asset in order to garnish capital investment. So we can do that as low as 1 year term, giving you a double-digit interest rate for your return out in the market, higher than average than traditional real estate investment strategies for your return on investment. Or if you're accredited, you can invest in the fund. We're currently raising in the fund for our various opportunities seen here today at 10% net for a 1 year term paid monthly, for a 3 year term at 12% net paid quarterly, or a 5 year term newly originated at 14% net paid monthly in our income oriented investment strategy. Not only investing like Warren Buffett, but opening the private lending component. So happy to be here today to have each and every one of you. These deals are not seen anywhere else in the nation. This is your back office view of what we have available at any given time, almost like an auction kind of program. Just quick house cleaning. Last couple of weeks, we've been traveling, doing a lot of networking, and expanding relationships. Because, people do business with the individuals they know, like, and trust. Long story short. So this upcoming week, actually next week, I think it is on the 14th, on Tuesday, is the Arizona Real Estate Investors Association. Shortly after that, you have the Alternative Asset Summit brought to you by Directed IRA. And we have booths at both of those events, as well as had Andy Teasley recently come on the podcast. He's educating individuals into creative finance structure. So acquiring creatively, selling creatively, note structuring, call him the note wizard. That's Andy Teasley. Feel free to go back to the podcast. You can view how to connect with him about his event coming up here in October. So action-packed schedule. We've just raised about $1.4 million over the past 30 days, and we've acquired multiple positions. So just want to kind of show you what that looks like real quick. Give me one moment here. So we got that sharing here. Sharing here. So hopefully this works. So this is my cheat sheet of loans that I acquired in in Arizona on homes in communities here in the Arizona market now cash flowing. So essentially, see if I can do this correctly because I got a couple screens here. Give me one sec. Oops. Bear with me. Okay. So from August 22nd, really September, we acquired about 13 different positions from, say, 29,000, which is super unique to have such a low acquisition like that, to $40,000. And our monthly cash flow received from 13 positions. My money's diversified across 13 positions. Our net cash flow is $7,400 a month. So within 30 days, I picked up $70,000 a year in monthly cash flow in the Arizona market. Varying rates of return on these, but they're all above average. These are showing double-digit interest received on transactions just like this. But at $60,650 a month, at $65,704 a month, at $95,000, $1,000 a month. To receive pro forma cash flow like that outside the stock market and collateralized lending opportunities is truly worth its weight in gold. So I just want to kind of show those acquisitions that we made over in Silvercrest. Extremely excited. We picked up, like I said, $1.4 million actually from one investor. He invested $400,000 and then $1 million shortly after that. And then yesterday, actually reported in my Business Network International from a trades partner in there who has a roofing company, busy business professional looking for high return on investment out in the market. He just invested another $100,000. So we got $1.5 million working right now in the fund, all backed by first lien manufactured home notes here in the Arizona market. I just wanted to kind of show that out today. So I've got my partners and associates here today, Jason and James Guajardo. And we have live active deals going on out in the marketplace, from first liens, second liens, and fund investments. We're currently validating the availability of these lower acquisition second lien programs to make sure they're done properly. Mitigating risk with the loan to value within the position, but also making sure it's originated correctly through the proper avenues in order to facilitate us literally becoming almost like a bank. We're not a bank, but we're stepping into the position of the bank at the end of the day. And to get deal flow like these is truly once in a lifetime. So Jason, James, appreciate having you guys today here to help additionally provide capital investors value. What do we got on the slate for today?
You want me? Yeah. So, but we're going to have Jason speak, but I just want to make sure everybody understands the opportunity that's at hand before Jason speaks. This is actually the interest level on the second lien investment program that we're rolling out. I probably personally received half a dozen calls from our emails that are going out. So there's actually a lot of new people that are coming online from the Atlanta market, from old relationships that I've had that want to learn and hear more about the opportunity. It is a step-based process as we go into this, as I've even mentioned to them. We're working on finalizing our licensing in order to offer the second lien loans, as well as making sure everything goes properly, not only through licensing, but we get properly closed out through an attorney or a title company. So we're finalizing the building blocks of the process as we send out these deals. Jason's going to profile the next couple of deals that we have coming up. But as he's doing that, as he's strumming up deals, we're trying to pause them a little bit to make sure that our licensing in place. And we're great and excited to hear we're just about to secure a deal with a mortgage-based company to start offering it for Texas and Florida to start closing out transactions, and then the other states will come into play. So go ahead, Jason.
All righty, so I'll just go through the newest ones we got. These are in process, so they're not actual notes ready to be sold yet, but this gives you an idea of, kind of the volume and the type of deals that we're getting.
Recording in progress.
Let me see here. Let me share my screen. All righty, so this one we got in at looks like about an hour ago from the sounds of it. Now again, most of these are going to be folks that are behind. They have a ton of equity. Alden, I'll let you run the numbers if you want to, as I'm just kind of going through these, but you can see this one right here. This is in Hudson, Florida, which is on the west coast of Florida, north of Tampa. It's we got his estimate of $316,000. The guy owes $155,000, and he needs $25,000 to get caught up. And again, with these folks, if this is the first time you've been on, we are really trying to help these folks save their home. Obviously, it is an equity-based bailout loan because they are in foreclosure, but our goal is to help them save their home. And in this case, these folks understand if they can't make the payments, the best case scenario for them is to come back, to us and say, I cannot afford this thing, and let's help them get it sold so we don't have to go through the foreclosure process. And that's an added layer of safety for us and our funding partners. But this is a very typical deal of, properties we get in multiple states. I can list them if you guys want, but you'll see states in Florida, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, and coming soon, probably specifically the Vegas area, and eventually it'll be Tennessee, with the opportunity of, kind of moving into other areas too. So if we get folks that say, hey, listen, I only want to invest in the Pennsylvania area, just let us know. So we can work deals in that market, Ohio, those kind of things as well. But
so real quick, that was a $25,000 position. There's always $10K on top of that, so it's a $35,000 loan, right? We could pledge that asset hypothecated for a 1-year term at a $35,000 position at a monthly interest rate is $291 a month, passive, pledged by this asset, a second lien position, $291 a month for a 1-year term. We could go to a 3-year program. That's $350 a month, right? $35K, $350 a month. You get your lien positioning pledged by the collateral, right? And our 5-year program, that we have could yield you a little bit more. So that's just a lower acquisition, right? Out $35,000 and sufficient equity in the property for us to feel risk mitigated. Just want to kind of go over that real quick. Go ahead, Jason.
All righty. So that's a Florida one. Let's go to, here's a Texas property. So again, these are going to be 99% of them are going to be single family houses. We do have the opportunity in some cases where we're doing townhouses if the equity is in. But here's one. Again, you can see the the estimate is $470. This guy owns $210. He owes $210 on the remaining balance. No, my bad. He bought it for $210. He owes $160,000 on the balance. He owes $70. So this guy was out of commission for about 2.5 years because of health reasons. He's back to working. His income is back. He is behind $70,000. So this will be on the higher end of the second notes that we do. But the equity there is tremendous. I think, doing the quick math there, he owes $160. So he's in it for $230. It's worth $470. Let's call it a 50% loan to value. And again, McKinney's another great market in the Texas area. You can tell it was built in 2002. A lot of our deals look just like this in different states. So that's another one. I think we've had this one for maybe, it looks to me like they just loaded this earlier today. So this is a brand new lead as well. Right, if you got anything to say, just jump in on the financials.
Yeah. So what was the proposed balance of the loan they were seeking?
Well, the balance of the loan was $160. They need about $80.
So
they're
it's a nine,
about
it's
240.
like a $90,000 position, right?
No, 80, because it's a 70,000. They're behind 70.
Okay, got you. So 80,000. Thank you for correcting me on that. For a 1-year term, that's a $666 a month paid monthly. We could get into a specific one note with one investor. Then you receive monthly income oriented investment strategy. At a 3-year term, start to get a little bit more attractive at a $800 a month payment. Listen, $80,000. If you were thinking about going to buy a rental and you're looking at leveraging with the bank, you're going to be out of pocket $80,000. Well, what's your net operating income for a long-term rental strategy with that $80,000? Your NOI average is 5 to 8%. But that was with potential rates at a lower rate. So by the time you get into the acquisition, your money out of pocket and pay a 7 to 9% interest rate, you're probably breaking even on the cash flow. And with appreciation now plateaued, right? That's really where you're hedging your bet in a long-term real estate strategy, rental strategy right now, because cash flow is almost non-existent, maybe a little bit, $100, $200 a month. Well, if appreciation's plateaued for your long-term rental strategy and you got $80,000 into that home, really, what is your return out in the market? Where in adjacents, right? Still single family residence, but you're taking a lien position on $80,000. You literally start receiving up to $800 a month or a little bit more if you take a longer term or lockout period. $800 a month at $80,000, when literally, if you just change your strategy from a long-term rental strategy, you come from literal plateaued return on investment out in the market, unless you're buying it deeply distressed and adding value. But not everyone wants that. We're passive lenders at the end of the day. Change your strategy, change your mindset, become the bank, and start receiving almost $800 a month, in a strategy that's highly risk mitigated. Got to open the eyes a little bit.
Absolutely. All right, another one in Texas. I guess we just did a campaign or something in Texas, but you can see the Zestimate on this one is 362. These folks owe 146,000. They are 15,000 behind, so this one will be a $25,000 note. This is in Dallas, so another terrific city that is one of the top five cities in the country. We focus on areas where the jobs are going to be good. Right now in Texas, because of the oil issues that we had, for the last 4 years, Texas is a little bit depressed, but I feel like it's going to come roaring back with some of the policy changes that we've been through. So another great deal where you're talking about, 50% loan to value with this second in position on a house that was, let me see here, built in 2011. So you'll see the trend that we're not lending money on 1950 houses, right? These are 10, 15, 20, 30-year-old houses. In Florida, we do not lend money on wood frame construction houses due to termites and all that good stuff. So we have been in the business for almost 30 years, fixing and flipping in multiple states. So the deals we're looking at have criteria that most people are never even going to consider. So another Dallas property, like I said, we get these in about 6 or 7 states right now. And if you got anything in terms of financials, go ahead.
Yeah, so 25,000. I mean, where are you going to find a $25,000 position out in the market that's literally cash flowing? Maybe in a non-performance situation, but this is newly originated. 25K, 1 year, 208 paid monthly, 1-year term. Touch it, smell it. It's right here. You start touching monthly profit, things start to reassociate. Those, connectors in your brain start connecting. Why? Because you're literally receiving a monthly payment opposed to a deferred situation. Touch it, try it out for a 1-year term, 25K at 208 paid monthly in Texas here, and Florida. I just shared this live stream to a Texas Facebook group, actually. So, here may be your chance if you're watching here today. We went through three already. That was 190,000 in positions right here, immediately available for you to start cash flowing in 30 days.
All right, let's do one in Georgia. Let me see here. They bought this house in 2004. Right now they owe, the total mortgage balance is $90,000. They are $18,000 behind. So this will be a roughly $28,000 note with a, what would you call that? It'd be less than 60% loan to value on a house that was built in 1995. And so this is a Georgia property. And the theme for all of these is, pretty much the same. The only difference is where it's at.
So it's important to understand as well that, there's no fees due to the investor. We don't charge an acquisition fee. We don't charge a finder's fee. We control these positions once we absorb them and get our licensing in place, right? But at that point, it's pretty straightforward. At 28,000, you're buying it for 28K, and you're making a monthly payment at an agreed upon interest rate. We bill all fees to the borrower to make sure that everything's cut and dry.
Let's do one more in Georgia. This one, let me see here. What's the numbers? They have a mortgage balance of $225. Their interest rate on the first is 3.1%. So they clearly do not want to lose that. They are behind about 23,000. And that number changes as we're going through the process because maybe we got a reinstatement letter that was a month old or something. But figure this will be a $35,000 second. You're looking at about it'll be under 45% loan to value, probably less than that. On a tremendous house, you can see it right there. This was built 30 years ago. Another great area, a very similar situation where you're looking at our max is going to be 65% loan to value, but a lot of them are in the 50% range, and that includes the second to get them current. We're vetting them to make sure they can afford the payment because most of these folks that have that kind of low interest rate on the first, their goal is to keep the house, and second goal is if they are going to have to sell it to keep as much equity as they can. So with these folks, they understand, listen, we're going to come in and we're going to help you do everything we can to help you keep your house. But in the instance that you just can't afford it, if something happened and you lost your job and you just cannot afford it, you've got to come back to us, be proactive about working together with us so that we don't have to foreclose. So we don't let the first mortgage foreclose. In that situation, there's going to be additional costs to them, of course, maybe a rehab, maybe we loan them more money to get the rehab done, but they're going to keep a majority of the equity because they're working with us to get the thing sold so that everybody cashes out. And that's that added, layer of safety for us, one, and our funding folks.
So as we do this and as we walk through this, we're getting multiple investors saying, hey, I'm interested in this specific property, this other property. I think what we're going to end up doing is have an interest request list that we'll have. So if an investor is specifically interested in a specific property, then we'll put their name down and kind of go in order in regards to the interest level once we have the licensing set in place and the attorney firm set in place. So just know that we have a process that we're going through to make sure that we're following all rules and regulations required to do these specific loans. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think along those lines, James, from a volume standpoint, if you're interested at all, I wouldn't wait because once this loan is done and ready, in 24 hours it's got to be done. We got to close it. These at the moment are going through the process, so we have a little time. But as soon as that clock stops, meaning the paperwork is done and we got to get this thing closed, we have less than 24 hours to fund. So what you're seeing on this side is you're just seeing, here's the deal flow that we get, and we get a lot of this. So if it's something you're interested in, reach out quickly and just, get your questions answered, learn the process so that when you're ready and you say, I am ready, here's the house that you're going to get. With that said, we also get first opportunities. And so I know you guys have said, and we hear it too on this, and investing 20 grand isn't worth it. And the great thing is that we can offer bigger loans to folks. Now the rates are going to be cheaper because you can't gouge somebody on the first, but they're still really, really good terms for the homeowner. But in situations, it just doesn't make sense to refinance the second only. And a lot of times you'll see that where there's a HELOC, for example, so there's a small first, they've been in the house 20 years, then they got a HELOC, and the terms of that HELOC are insane. And we're not going to lend in a third position. So sometimes it makes sense to take the whole thing out, start from scratch, and then give them, a year, 3 years, whatever it is, give them time to fix it, meaning refinance, get their credit back up, give them time to sell it. And we'll come in too with folks, we'll do bridge loan notes where they're like, listen, I don't live in the house anymore. I don't want to lose the equity, but it needs work. I just need help. What do we do? And we'll go in and we'll help them rehab it. We'll lend them the money to do it. We'll take over and turnkey it for them. And so there's an opportunity for a bridge loan situation too, for folks that, don't want smaller seconds. And this is one of those examples where we're talking about, this one is going to be roughly a $210,000 first on a house that's worth about $362. And we get probably, it seems like we're getting more and more of these, but we get 5 to 8 of these opportunities, these first opportunities a month, it seems like. And we get a lot more seconds, of course. So the deal volume is there, and there's an opportunity to do both.
So as you guys are listening and watching this on the Zoom, just know that you're prospectively watching this in an advanced format. We're very close, I think, within the next 30 days to start actually processing these specific loans and notes. So you're on the cusp. You're like in it before everybody else is at. That's really exciting information. We on the back end are making sure that all of our processes and licensing is in place and everything is working through that process so we can have a successful close. Jason and his team is on the front line, and they're bringing the deals into play to be able to go into the system. So we're all working cohesively together to make this transaction work and make sure that we get the lien position, we have the right recorded documents with the right disclosures, and the right licensing required for each transaction. Go ahead, Jason.
Let's do, I don't know how many you want me to do, but we'll do one more because I know you guys get questions like, again, there are folks that want to invest bigger money. And just as an example, this is a perfect example of houses, folks that have expensive houses, they still need money in some occasions. And on some occasions, this guy is a business owner. He has a ton of net equity in multiple properties, cars, classic cars, the whole thing. But he is in the middle of a cash crunch. He's trying to buy another business, and he needs 300 grand to do it, and he can't wait to do it. He owes he owes 800,000 on this house at a 4% note, and he is willing to take a second for that 300,000 on this house. So that would put him at what, 120, roughly 110, right there on it's about a 30% loan to value on this property. But again, somebody that has a high net worth, but is in a cash crunch. And it's because he's getting ready to buy another business and he doesn't have enough cash to do it. He doesn't want to wait. So we get these kind of opportunities as well, where the 20s and 30s are not enough for you. We get some where they're 300, 400, 500,000. And as long as it's the same math, as long as the loan to value is there, you know what you're lending on, the title is good. And you heard James and Alden talking about that. You're in a really safe position because this guy said, listen, what I'll do if I have to is I'll just start selling some of my classic cars. But, he's like, I really don't want to, but I need to close this deal in 45 days. So I need that money here real quickly so that he doesn't lose the deal. So we get these kind of situations as well, where there's a quite a bit higher second on a house that is worth a lot more. There's more risk, obviously. So you don't really want to be at 65% LTV on a luxury house because those fluctuate pretty quickly in markets that go down. But in this case, you're looking at about 1/3 loan to value. So the payment on that, Alden, I don't know what that would be, but it'll be good.
What was the balance? The
300 and call it 320 would be the loan.
So I mean that's $2,600 a month. That's almost $30,000 a year. And if you do that in an IRA, your return goes through the roof, baby. Tax deferred or tax free, leveraging an IRA investment or even a solo 401k, that's worth its weight in gold. Jason, if you could just stop sharing your screen here. Does anybody have any questions? I know sometimes it feels like you're drinking through a fire hose. We're going to air it out here real quick. Any questions? That was upwards of $1 million right there in the active deal flow that we get across our table. I just described how we took $1.4 million and placed that into manufactured home notes. This is a $50 million meeting right here, guys. I just want you to understand the magnitude of heavy weight that's coming through this view right here. You're on the cusp of something really great of keeping people in their homes and creating solutions for affordable housing. What better place to hedge your bet? At the end of the day, mass uncertainty out in residential real estate market because of Jerome Powell talking about reducing rates 4 times earlier this year, and he only did it like once or twice, nothing super dramatic. There's a lot of people waiting on the sideline, needing money to earn an income based off their investment strategy. And they've got money in a money market account because it feels safe. They went and bought a CD because it feels safe. At the end of the day, you're losing capital. How are you losing money? To inflation. Inflation is eating away at your dollar on these low yield investments and literal same security as a bank CD in these programs. Why is that? Because the bank gives mortgages and arbitrages the rate that they offer the mortgage collateralized by single family residents and give you a 3 to 4% return. What are we doing here today? We're literally doing the same exact thing through a private HELOC program in single family residents and hedging in manufactured housing. Who's the other player playing around in manufactured housing? Well, it happens to be Warren Buffett right here, if you can see that. Warren Buffett has one of the largest positions in manufactured housing as an institutional investor. He owns Clayton, Cavco, 21st Mortgage, Sun Communities. What else could I say? At the end of the day, don't take my word for it. Follow the institutional magnates out here operating within the program. So that was just a quick overview of the deals that we have coming down the pipeline. This is kind of a pre-structure that we have going on right now. We figured out, I believe, Florida and Texas. So we'll be opening those markets up first. But if you have capital and you're an accredited investor, we're funding immediately in the notes that we originate in the Arizona market. So we could help you. If you have capital, 50 to $1 million, that's all areas of conversation. I think I cut someone off there. Any questions from anyone? Burning desires.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. Hey, it's Angela here. A couple questions, actually. Why, you mentioned that this is a private HELOC of a sort. Why haven't these homeowners, or why wouldn't these homeowners have gotten an actual HELOC for their, to come up with the cash?
Great question. Yeah, so they're potentially in foreclosure situation. So as you get ushered towards foreclosure and you become a defaulted homeowner, that hits your credit at the end of the day, and they have
Right.
sufficient equity in their property to pull out, but there's not many alternatives for them. They're getting down to the wire. And really,
Right.
to understand also, we were trying to buy these properties from these individuals. We came in, said,
Right.
hey, you're in foreclosure. We want to buy your house. And they don't want to sell for emotional attachment. Maybe they have a 2 to 5% mortgage, which is like gold out in the marketplace, where we see, opposed to letting that lead say, bye-bye, we can't buy your house, we'll, beat it or whatever, classic wholesaler environment. We take this step forward, right, and lend them money based on their collateral that they have, not their ability to repay so much, right? They're pulling equity out of their home so they don't lose everything at the end of the day. So I saw James about to pipe up. Let's hear what he has to say.
Let me chime in also on that. If anybody, and I've done this multiple times, they always ask, and that question, Angela, comes up a lot. Why doesn't the person just go get a HELOC and call their bank? How many times have you tried to do a deal and actually get a loan from your bank? It's an extensive process, and the clock is, you're up against the clock of a foreclosure, and your credit's gotten hit because you're in foreclosure, so now your credit's getting hit. So go right now and try to schedule an appointment with a banker to get a HELOC loan. They may take a week just for you to be able to come in to fill out an application. And the turnaround time could be 30 to 45 to 60 days. Well, they have a foreclosure that's coming up in the next 30 days. Are they going to bank on that? They need a company that's nimble enough. At the end of the day, the interest rate is what we would consider a courtesy rate. It's almost like credit card rates. Everybody has a credit card in their back pocket. You use your credit card as the convenience. It's a convenience rate. When you're buying something, knowing very well mentally, you're like, okay, I'm charging this card. I just want to make sure that I can pay that bill at the end of the month, or I'm going to be paying 28% interest. These homeowners were presenting this in kind of the same fashion. We happen to be very nimble. If we can get some qualifications and get their application in quick, once we get licensed, we can turn this around probably in 72 hours and get them funded. There's no bank that's going to be able to do that. They could take 30, 60, 90 days, and no one has that time. And because the bank takes so long, it's created this opportunity for a business model to be able to capitalize where a bank can't do it. They just can't do it. You want to think that banks can do it. I can't even. You know what? Since COVID, you can't even get a notary in a bank. You can't even walk in to a bank and get a notary. You have to schedule an appointment. They're completely unavailable. And that's where the opportunity has come in. So we're capitalizing on our nimbleness to be able to do a transaction quickly once we have all of our licensing in place. And we're going to be rolling. I think we're going to be doing 10 or 20 notes a month. And then it's just the sky is the limit because the opportunity is there.
Okay, second question I have. Sorry, can I finish?
I was just going to say, I have one more thing to add, and that was that you can consider it sort of like a bailout loan. So what happens is they're looking for the money that they need to get out of the hole. And then once they get their bailout, then their credit improves to the point where they can now get back to making the payments on time, or they have the ability to repay you for holding the second once they've improved their credit from the bailout that they got.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. My other question is, how are you all, or how would you suggest, if you have any ideas, how are you going to go about finding your buyers for these notes? Do you have already a group of note buyers? But we want to find our own buyers for the notes. We want to flip them to our investors and, get a piece of the action from each one as well without actually, doing the actual purchasing of that note.
So Angela, just to let you know, we, for the last 4 or 5 years, have been attending national note conferences. It's a whole business model in itself.
Right.
Alden and I have traveled all over the country. Here in the U.S. next week, we have a couple events that are coming up. Happen to be right here in Arizona. There's specific programs for the education and knowledge base to learn how to, instead of investing in the real estate asset, you're investing specifically in the note to get an immediate return. So there is a growing number of knowledge, and there's actually education platforms like Note Investor University that's out there. There's multiple Facebook groups that are note groups. You could attend, you know, you could probably find in you're in Georgia, in Georgia market. I bet if you look for note groups in Georgia, there's probably a dozen groups you could join and start.
Yeah, I definitely would do that on Facebook and on other social media platforms. But I just wanted to know if you maybe had some sort of insight into something that you're doing that's a little different. In the past, what I had been doing was having a team per se of wholesalers nationwide that would send me properties that they had gotten under contract, and then I worked with hedge funds that were buying these properties. I'd mark them up. I think I told you earlier with my fees sent to the fund. Usually the funds is all we worked with because the individual investors turned out to be mostly tire kickers. So I wanted to get a feel for what kind of methodology you guys were using to accomplish the same thing. Because I think for us, that would be the best route to go.
You know, there's definitely an avenue of, element of raising private capital, whether that's done through hypothecation, like in our manufactured home notes, where you acquire a whole note with OPM, other people's money, and you borrow at 10 and leverage the higher interest rate and make your margin. That's definitely an area of conversation. Those of you that don't know, you can go buy a note today at mobilemailboxmoney.com. And kind of start fishing out in the market to leverage your relationships. What is that? That's raising private capital at the end of the day. And whether that's taking that additional risk and managing that note and then hypothecating it, pledging it to garnish capital investment, or you become a referral partner of ours, at a little bit less of a component of managing the note and stuff like that. Those are all areas of opportunity. Why? Because we have massive deal flow. I don't think people understand this is a true monthly deal flow, 5 to 50 positions, depending on how far we roll this out, all areas of opportunity. And for people just like you, Angela, to start building repertoire, building your confidence, building your contact sphere, ultimately to come and bring lower yielding capital to the table to arbitrage a rate or make a referral fee, all super opportunities.
I think if we continue to move forward, we did build a site and it's up and live and it's called mobilemailboxmoney.com. And historically, those notes have been our manufactured home notes that we have originated, and those notes pay normally 14%. We're mirroring that image, and ultimately, it's not on the site right now. You could actually, Jason's going to the site right now. You can do a simple login and sign up. Right now on this Zoom call, we're having an advanced conversation of what the inventory will ultimately be on the website. So you could click on sign up, Jason, if you go to the top and click on sign up. I don't know if you have a login. You could do a quick little sign up if you want to. But once you sign up, then you could click on the link that says notes available, and we'll have all the notes. So we'll try to do our best to have these notes that from the Zoom. Right now, the Zoom is in advance of the website. The website will be, once we get our licensing set and everything like that, then the inventory will actually go onto the website.
Okay, that sounds good.
The biggest piece of all this is to attend these Zoom calls, these Zoom, like what we're on right now, because the more that you hear about it, the more that makes your muscle memory, your brain is just like, okay, I get it, but what about this? What about that? Here's where we should be able to answer all those questions.
Okay, I'm embarrassed to say, James, that I actually bought a notes course at a conference that I attended in Ohio a couple of years ago that I need to dust off and actually go through, because I knew that with the notes I could do the same thing I was doing with the houses, which was marking them up and selling them that way, or as you're saying, just getting a percentage of them, which would also be great, passive income on a monthly basis.
The reality, because we talk to hundreds of investors and note investors that have taken a course and they paid anywhere from $1,000 to $40,000 for the course. If that's what took you to get to this position, to get you ultimately on this Zoom call, maybe it was worth it. You know, and
absolutely.
now
I think so. And I think a lot of the questions I have would be answered. I just need to go through it and refresh my knowledge of it. That's all. So I
Yeah,
will
and
make
if
that
you
a
do it-
priority as well. And then if I have questions, I'll definitely let you know.
yeah, so relative to those questions is making sure that, number one, you have your correct underwriting on the specific asset.
Mhm.
You know, just like an investor, you want to make sure your underwriting is correct on the property, on the specific asset as well. You have an underwriting complete collateral file. as
But you
well
do
as-
that, don't you?
Yes, as well
Okay.
as the lien position on the property. If you're in the fund takes the lien and you're on behalf of the fund members.
Mhm.
So if you're in the fund, if you're not in the fund and end up buying the note direct from us, we make sure that you have your collateral file as well as your lien position, and it's closed out in, like if it's Georgia market, it'll get closed out with a licensed Georgia attorney. If it's in Florida, I think Florida is a title market. So it'll get closed out with a title company. In Arizona, it's the trustee deed state. So that's a title company. And I think Texas is a title company. Texas is a title company. So
And
we'll
who-
make sure that it gets cleared out.
And who administers the repayment? Is that something that your company is going to be doing? So let's
So
say
we
perhaps.
currently use a third-party servicing company.
Okay.
And we'll always want to use a third-party company because they'll put out monthly statements. If they'll let the person be able to log in and pay it, then that way there's no discrepancy in regards to what's the balance due and what's paid and what's not paid. All that is going to be bared at the expense of the borrower. So the investor, normally on a servicing company, there's a fee for the note investor on the startup, and it could be anywhere from $200 to $250 one-time fee to set it up. But once it's set up, then the borrower is paying the monthly fee. And let's call it $17.50 a month. I think that's the rate. We use Affordable Funds Transfer Service. It's called AFTS out of Washington. And they've done hundreds of notes with us. And they're our servicing company. There's plenty of other servicing companies that are out there. We just happen to start using them, and they work out, and they're pretty personable and answer all our questions. And they're pretty much available, especially by email.
Okay.
But that being said, you check off each one of the items in the box. Number one, do I have the capital available and I'm borrowing the capital from my uncle or whatever? And am I, like Alden said, am I arbitraging that? I can find it from my uncle at 6 or 8%, and I'm getting a higher rate on the specific note. Number two, do I have a collateral package? What's the details of the deal? Are there updated photos? Because remember, this is an asset-based loan.
Right.
It's on the asset. It's not really on the ability of the buyer to pay. So we're really focusing on the value of the property. As Jason was showing the deal, he's pulling up Zillow. It's interesting that Zillow has become really the market maker, and everybody is hedging towards the value of what Zillow is, whether it's up or down. Zillow is a pretty good overall component of value. Depending on interest rates and what's going on and how fast somebody wants to sell and how rehab their house is and comps, you can do a pretty good comp relative to Zillow. You don't have to get a official BPO or a $400 appraisal. These deals are going to go a lot faster than that. So there's going to make a true assessment of a rough number within 10% of what's the value of the property as is today. Do we have a collateral package? Do we have updated photos on the property? Do we have a loan fill out, just at least a one sheet fill out? We're building all that. And it's going to happen like in the next 30 days. We're going to be processing loans probably sooner than that in Texas and Florida. And then the other states will come into play. So we're in a great opportunity. We're excited to even present it. The interesting thing right now, our whole business model historically has been low cost housing, doing manufactured homes, originating owner carry notes, and then selling those to investors. We're not even talking about our core business, because I think this business model is going to explode what we're currently doing. Our raise with Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, Alden's the fund manager, we're putting out a raise that ultimately will have a cap of $100 million. And we think over the next 5 years, we have a full pitch deck and I'm happy to send that to anybody that would like to see it. I think
Yes, I
it
would.
would be good for us to send it to you.
Yes,
for you to
please.
review that and understand the process, because it's going to go like, the first year we think that we'll do X amount of deals. Let's call it 50 to 100 deals. And then the next years, it's going to like grow 10X, 10X, 10X.
Mm-hmm.
And by year 5, we're going to deploy $100 million. We may hit the number and go above it or go below it, but it just shows the opportunity in the market is very dynamic right now. And we, in times in life, you want to capture what is the greatest opportunity that's going on. The greatest opportunity right now is the fact that in previous years, people were able to get a 2, 3, or 4% interest rate loan, and they're going to do everything that they can. They're going to do everything that they can in order to keep that loan.
Right.
But they're in foreclosure, so they're like, I need help. They need somebody to help out. And if they call their bank, the bank's going to say, we'll schedule an appointment. We'll get you down in 2 weeks, and you're going to meet. You're going to meet with a brand new banking person who doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's going to have you fill out an application. And 2 months later, we're still going to run you around the ringer. And then after the end of 2 months, we're probably going to decline you. So they have that option, or a nimble company like us that has capital and investors that want to capitalize on the market and be able to have a great impact to help. It really is helping people out. And it's a win for the investor, it's win for the borrower, and everybody wins.
So back to that part where you have the third party that's taking care of the back office administration and making sure that the lender pays and then distributes those funds to the I guess the purchaser of the note.
So hold on. Let me kind of clean this up a little bit, because we're talking about a few different strategies, right? So we
I
have.
just wanted to real quick find out, would that third party also send us our portion? Let's say we marked it up by 2% or whatever. Would they also be handling that part of the deal?
So really for
clarification and answer to that's a servicing question, and you can pay an addition. They're going to charge you an additional fee if you want the note to be split up. But there are 2 components right now. Most of our investor capital is going in the Silvercrest Opportunity Fund, and Alden will elaborate on that. And we're pitching for Silvercrest. There will probably be a portion of the notes that become available where you could actually invest in the note direct and buy that specific note, and then work that process of what you're thinking in your head, because not everybody's accredited investor that will be listening to this, and they're going to have to figure out a way to actually just buy the note, see how they can buy the note direct. But the short answer is the servicing company can split the note up and pay it out and send monthly updated statements. It's just at whatever that negotiated nominal fee is.
Okay, thank you.
So really, for the most case, all of our notes we offer are via hypothecation. So which means the passive lender component, we do say what Angela's doing, right? They find a qualified operator, one of the largest creative finance specialists in the nation, and they get a pledged asset in order to garnish capital investment. What does that mean? That means that we collect the payment and actually distribute profit to our passive lender, say on like around the 15th, because payments are due on the 5th or the 1st, depending on how we structure that due payment from the borrower, and then redistribute earnings for our passive lender, right? So these are the seconds on single family residence. Say we're talking about the notes first lien on manufactured housing, and we originate those positions at like 14 and 15%, and you could arbitrage that potentially. But you acquire that position, right? Say Angela finds $100,000 and we have a note at $100,000 on manufactured housing. Angela uses OPM. She hypothecates this position to her investor. She gets now her information with the servicer. So she receives the money from the servicer after the 1st or the 5th, and then distributes that money to her investor. So kind of 2 different criteria of deal structure that we currently have. We're really looking for, like what Angela's looking for, passive lenders that see opportunity in the value, and they don't want to manage the note. They don't want to worry about a non-performance. They don't want to call from the servicer. That's where Angela and even us, doing multiple hundreds of deals come in. I see Jerry there unmuting his mic. You got a question by chance today?
I do. So I talked with James here a few days ago. Thank you for taking the time, sir. Got a good bit of experience working with notes and with pre-foreclosures. This is a great opportunity. I see what's coming over the next good many years. Looks like you're building a good system. My question is basically this. I buy, sell, and trade notes right now. I understand what you're talking about with hypothecation. Great ideas. I'm just looking at the other topic that was brought up. I understand we can, I understand there's legal issues with fractionalization and all that sort of thing. But I've done that. I understand ways around that. My question is this: what's the other opportunity? The term was thrown out there, referrals, right? Are you guys really wanting to do both referrals and these second tier back end deals, one or the other? I'm just trying to get a sense, because those are two different things, right? If you're looking at a referral process, or I've taken notes, resold them. I'm totally open to that. What Angel's talking about, that's a great option. What I'd really like to know is just, what do you really want to see happen here? Because you guys are driving the train.
I think the big answer to that, and Angela created the question, and Alden really kind of answered it, and I'll restate it again. We're mentally, I think we're trying to get away from the word of saying referral and a referral fee. What you want to do, I think your greatest success, and I mentioned this to Angela this morning about it, is that you want to hypothecate the note, and it's not a complicated process. So you want to find an investor, a relative, a friend, a high net worth person, whoever, that is willing to, business is built off of trust. So normally they always say, go to your warm market, people that trust you, right? People that trust you and say, hey, here's the deal. I found this note. Here's the package information about it. I would like to invest in this note. And I know that you've got, do you have $50,000? I would like to earn a portion of that. So you're in the note, in the deal with them. I would suggest not trying to just get a referral based fee, but go into the note, because your long-term income is going to far outweigh just trying to get a referral.
Oh, yes, sir. I definitely understand that. That's where I want to be at. I just wanted to know, since that term was brought up earlier, I didn't really know how you all felt about that. And I'm assuming that over the next 2 or 3 months, there's going to be more information about how we can make that process more workable.
Yes, 100%.
Awesome. I'm very interested.
I think it'll make you that much more of a seasoned investor of learning and having the right documentation to hypothecate the note, where you're pledging the entire note, but you're, instead of whatever the note interest rate is paying, you're getting a small percentage each month, and your investor's getting percentage each month. Now, again, the servicing company is going to charge you an additional fee if you're going to want that to be split up from them and sent separately. But whatever, I would almost rather pay the fee than.
No, that's totally fine, James. That's no problem at all. So you're telling me clearly your servicer can handle all of that. The reason I'm asking is I had to seek out a servicer previously, because I'm sure not all of them will do that.
Not all of them will do it, and that I know of, our servicer are currently doing it on a couple of notes that we have sold to other people that have split the note, and they're sending 2 different payments. And I think it's an extra like $7.50 to split it up per month or per transaction.
Yeah, no problem. That's all really good information. I'm looking forward to how you guys develop this. Very interested.
Yeah, we're really excited. I've been getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep, and it's kind of crazy because there's a lot of back end work that we have to do. We're bringing on more staff to help support it, more administration staff. And we're very excited about the opportunity. It doesn't, in life, you come across opportunities, and I've yet to come across something that has this big, explosive, I would say multiple 10x opportunity. But we want to do it right is the whole point. We want to do it right, make sure the licensing and our packages, our collateral packages are set, because the deal flow is there. So once we get everything set up, and it's going to happen over the next 30 days, then boom, we're going to blow it out. And it's going to go out through our social media and through our regular emails, but we're going to probably be hosting the the actual details of the data on mobilemailboxmoney.com. So that being said, I highly encourage you to go to that website and sign up on the site. We have a live support. Sunny Finkel happens to be here on the Zoom. She manages that the chat that goes through that. It's not an AI chat, it's a Sunny Finkel chat. So she's a real person, and she manages that really well all day. She's very knowledgeable in regards to our note process and our contracts, and she's there to answer after the Zoom any questions that come up. And obviously, we envision that over this short period of time, once we get rolled up, we're going to have more than just Sunny there helping out answer questions, because we just want to make sure that we do it right.
So
I totally respect that. That sounds great, James. And thank you again for taking the time to speak with me earlier in the week.
Yeah, no problem. Anybody with a country accent, I'm originally from Texas. I'll just chew on the conversation however we want to do it, as long as we need to.
Accent? What accent?
We'll have a sip and see how it goes.
You know, in other words, just to add to that, today you're joining the family bank. Literally, we help people raise private capital, make money on money with these positions in a time when it's needed most, taking one step closer to financial freedom. What do we call that? Mobile Mailbox Money. We're here at 101. Today's brought to you by Silvercrest Opportunity Fund. I'll leave you all with a video. If you don't see something that you like on our website, feel free to call us today direct for a special offer at 602-888-CASH, and check out this video. Whoops. Hold on, give me 1 second. We'll bag it. Today's brought to you by Silvercrest Opportunity Fund. We appreciate you guys having here today. Invest today. Start earning interest in as little as a 30-day program. Join us every week, Thursday, 12 o'clock Pacific time. Go turn on your fishing reel. Go talk to the people that you're even thinking about and say, hey, what do you think about this opportunity? How much capital do you may have? And I think I may have a solution for you. And start chumming it up. Join us next week and bring your questions. Join on Zoom so you can ask those. Go back and view the previous vlogs, the masterminds, the podcasts, the interviews with industry magnates like Eddie Speed, Nathan Turner from Diversified Mortgage Expo, Mark Monroe for the largest seller finance Facebook group in the nation, to Andy Teasley, niche market, manufactured home sales, to Goodwin Yee, to all the above. I could go on for literally an hour. Do yourself a service. Go back and view the unfiltered value out online at Identifier Mobile Mailbox Money, or call today. Appreciate having you all here today, and everyone have a great day.
Yeah, look for this. This will come out in the Zoom, and the recording will come out in the email, and we'll send that out either probably first thing tomorrow. So make sure you register on mobilemailboxmoney.com so that you can go out onto that.
And today, for the first time, we're actually live right now on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So you can go view this right now. If you want to go back, check out the questions, learn a little bit more. But we appreciate having each and every one of you here today, and appreciate your time.
All right, take care.